Hello, and welcome back to the Crime Reel. For our last post of 2021, we shall be taking a look at some crimes which were definitely not planned by criminal masterminds in a slightly more light-hearted look at some true crime stories. Before I start, I would just like to say a big thank you to all of you for supporting my channel and a very Merry Christmas to those who celebrate it. Thank you for the hundreds of emails that I have received throughout this year with suggestions of crime stories as well as details of some of your personal stories and experiences. I know that this time of year can be difficult for so many of you, so my thoughts are with you all. Just to let you know that I will not be uploading a video next week as I'm taking a small break over Christmas and New Year, and also I'll not be as active as usual when replying to comments and emails. Then I will be back with a new narration of a truly fascinating case on the 5th of January 2022. So on to today's mini stories. Our first story today takes place in Kent in England when 32-year-old John Pearce was caught in the most embarrassing of ways. John decided to break into a Victorian terrace house in Dartford in broad daylight by smashing through the front window. However, as he climbed into the house, the lace on one of his trainers caught on the window frame, and no matter how much he struggled, he could not free his shoelace. He was left hanging upside down in the front window of the house for all to see. Before long, about 30 neighbours and passers-by gathered outside and proceeded to ridicule John, who was completely trapped with the police on their way. The owner of the house was called and arrived home before the police arrived. John, who was armed with a hammer, tried to explain how he had spotted someone trying to steal from the house and was merely a concerned citizen trying to help. The owner didn't believe a word of it and left John hanging in the window until the police arrived. John would later admit to burglary with an intent to steal, having already received nearly 50 convictions for similar offences. However, should John be more or less embarrassed than a Gold Coast drug dealer who was caught by his own vanity? When the police on the Gold Coast, Australia received an anonymous tip-off about a man supplying illegal drugs, they were quick to investigate. The police raided his home and discovered large quantities of marijuana inside a safe. However, the man denied all knowledge of the drugs and claimed that they must belong to someone else in the house. He repeatedly denied that he was a drug dealer. However, his claims came to an embarrassing end as the police search continued. Looking through the contents of his mobile phone, the police came across a video of the man posing and flexing in a selfie taken in front of his bathroom mirror. Fully visible in the shot was a huge stash of marijuana. The police officers couldn't contain their laughter as the man was faced with the indisputable evidence, with the whole event being recorded for the show Gold Coast Cops. Meanwhile, a man in St Mary's, Georgia, USA, managed to evade capture despite wearing one of the worst disguises ever. Whilst attempting to rob a GameStop store in April 2018, the man wore a black t-shirt and khaki trousers. His distinctive tattoos were on show, and the only part of his body which he decided to disguise was his head. The mask he chose was the clear outside wrapper from a multi-pack of plastic bottled water. Being completely see-through, this did nothing at all to hide his identity. There was also clear images on CCTV of the man in other shops wearing the identical outfit, but this time without his transparent mask. Despite all of these pictures and his poor choice of disguise, multiple reports state that the man has not been identified, and so it seems that he may have actually got away with his crime. However, another man who decided to use a bag as a disguise was not as fortunate. On 27th of September 2015, the town of Porthcawl in Wales was holding its annual Elvis Festival. Elvis impersonators from around the world visit the seaside town for their biggest event of the year. 37-year-old Christopher Badman from Bridgend decided to take advantage of this busy event to steal from the Marine Hotel in Porthcawl. He put a bag over his head, obviously having thought it through slightly more than his American counterpart by making sure it wasn't transparent. He entered the hotel and was captured on CCTV footage walking through the corridors. Clearly unable to see where he was going, he kept bumping into the walls before breaking into a guest room. At that point, he must have decided that his disguise was slowing him down, so he abandoned his bag mask and then, for some unknown reason, looked straight into the security camera from just a few feet away. Christopher was arrested and ordered to pay £900 in costs and a £100 surcharge. Moving over to South Africa now, on Sunday the 6th of May 2018, a police patrol in Tokai, Cape Town, spotted a car which had been reported stolen from nearby Hout Bay. The police pursued the car and a short-lived high-speed chase followed. Maybe because it was dark or out of sheer panic, the thieves made the police's job a lot easier for them. They drove the stolen car straight into the grounds of Cape Town's maximum security Pollsmoor prison, entering into the West Lake entrance, which is used for visitors and prison wardens. The thieves realised that they were cornered. In a desperate attempt to escape, they abandoned the car and ran into the grounds of the prison. They were then promptly arrested. When the men were taken to the police station for processing, it was soon discovered that between the four men, they had roughly 35 charges pending against them, ranging from theft and possession of illegal firearms to attempted murder and murder. The police in North Shields in England were also given a lot of help when solving a crime at a B&M bargain store. Shortly after the store had closed for the night, the main doors were forced open. An intruder entered and stole £187 worth of vodka. The intruder was caught on the store's CCTV cameras, but identification was made very simple for the police due to the intruder dropping his prison ID card at the scene of the crime. Stephen Mathewson, who already had 55 theft-related offences on his record, was arrested at his home on Custer's Court in Long Benton the following week. His own solicitor described the crime as almost having comedy value. Stephen pleaded guilty to burglary of a non-dwelling. He was ordered to stay indoors at his address between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. every day for 2 months as part of a curfew order, as well as paying £187 in compensation and £85 in costs. With alcohol involved in so many crimes, a 69-year-old man from Vero Beach, Florida, decided to present an unusual defence for his crime. A woman at a drive-through McDonald's called the police to report a man who was continually driving into the back of her car. With a clear description, the police soon caught up with the man, Earl Stevens Jr., who was in his vehicle. Earl was slurring and smelt strongly of alcohol. When the police asked him if he was drink driving, he replied, no. His defence? That he was only drinking from the open bottle of Jim Beam bourbon when he was at a stop sign. Therefore he was not drinking and driving because the car was not moving as he sipped the drink. Needless to say, he was charged with driving under the influence and driving without a valid Florida licence. In Canada, it was coffee rather than alcohol which led to an arrest. At around 6 a.m. on Monday the 22nd of September 2015, a delivery van, which had been left parked with the keys inside, was stolen from Robson Street in Vancouver. Seemingly unbothered about making a quick getaway, the thief soon decided to stop for his morning coffee. Just a couple of minutes away from where he had stolen the vehicle, he decided to park up, leave the van and stroll into a nearby coffee shop. He was either unaware or did not care about the fact that opposite the coffee shop was a police station. The theft had been promptly reported to the police, and officers were surprised when they saw the van drive past almost immediately. The officers entered the coffee shop and, after a brief struggle, arrested 55-year-old Brian Phillips, who was charged with theft of a motor vehicle and taking a motor vehicle without the owner's consent. The van and its parcels were soon returned to the delivery driver, who was able to get on with his day. It would seem such confidence, or arrogance, can often be a criminal's downfall, and when Gwent Police in Wales launched an appeal on their Facebook page for information to help locate an on-the-run criminal, they received a surprising reply. 19-year-old Logan James had breached his prison release terms after being convicted of a knife attack. Gwent Police posted the appeal on the 13th of February 2015, and within hours Logan had replied to their post saying, "Haha, catch me if you can, won't see me slipping." On that same day, Logan also bragged to a news agency, stating, "They are not going to be able to catch me, I won't let them. They've been round my mum's house 4 times a day, but I'll be out for at least a month or two before they get me. I've been walking around near home, so they're not trying too hard to catch me." However, antagonising the people who were looking for him monumentally backfired. 2 days later, Logan was back in custody, with the police officers releasing a statement saying that they would like to thank Logan for drawing attention to their efforts of returning him to prison. And finally, when 21-year-old Frank Singleton was released from jail in 2008, he had no one there to meet him and no ride home. The smart thing to do would have been to walk home or use public transport. However, Frank decided upon a different plan. He ran into the visitors' car park, where he saw a woman getting out of her 2006 Nissan 350Z. He ran at her saying, "I want your car," pushed her out of the way, grabbed the keys and jumped into the car. His escape plan was foiled when he realised that the car he had stolen had a manual transmission which he was unable to drive. He was rearrested and charged with felony carjacking, reportedly telling the police that he just didn't feel like walking. There we are, that concludes the stupidest crimes. Please add any comments down below. Catch up real soon. Thanks for listening to the Crime Reel. Stay safe. Goodbye. Psst, add your comment below about which one of these crimes should win the title of being the stupidest. Goodbye.